everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today's an amazing day. Some crazy things have been happening over this week. The SEC has magically changed their tunes. You know that for so long they've been saying Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities, and all of a sudden the tables have turned. So I want to talk about that. I also want to talk about them. The interesting dollar amounts that are being thrown around. Oh, no, you're not going to get to install and kick me out of Brave. The interesting dollar amounts that the SEC is requesting to support them. You're like, well, where are all the dollar amounts that you've been taking from people all these years? There's just a lot of conversations happening right now that we need to have. And I want to know what Johnny Litecoin thinks about it. So we'll be right back with him right after this. Give us a like, share the video, and jump in the live chat because there's some amazing people, including my mama over there. Hey, Johnny, thanks for joining us. There are some crazy things coming out. It feels like the truth is coming out. This is spring. We're on the second day of spring. Yesterday was the first day of spring. I was kind of going over some of it while we were chatting just before we got started. I'm not even sure which exciting thing I want to start on, but the SEC is being kind of exposed. They were asking for a big chunk of money in this omnibus bill. And then there's a lady on LinkedIn that I was chatting with saying like, well, what happens with all this money that you guys have been taking from these claims? And they were talking about how, oh, well, that goes to the Treasury. And I said, well, actually, when we were doing some research on a project that I'm on, they get to keep in their own fund anything up to a certain level that doesn't go to the Treasury. So you need to look into that. That was pretty exciting. And then there's this big reveal surrounding ETH and this big announcement where now the SEC, which it seems like, okay, the SEC makes a move and then it kind of is getting attacked by its own monster, or the controllers, because now they're saying that, oh, well, now ETH is maybe a security, which could cause or trigger. It's my understanding that people in Congress would have to disclose if they are holding securities. And so that may be a game changer. And I also heard that JP Morgan would have to disclose or show their bags that they hold, including Lubin, which if you guys watch Boring Sleuth, if you follow Boring Sleuth, he did some on-chain data tracking to show, I'm sorry, Joseph Lubin. Isn't it Joseph Lubin?
That's his name.
Yeah. Is that his name? He was involved as the finance guy with Vitalik, and I guess they did a bunch of payout that when allegedly when Ethereum was being founded or whatever, that the way that they had Ethereum set up, the miners would make a lot of money, and then they also did a kind of like a pre-mine or a pre-payout to the people involved with the project. And so they were kind of sloppy with it. And Steve Narioff did a big expose on that.
They kind of did it all. They did a pre-mine. They did an ICO. They've rolled back the blockchain. And that's why we got Ethereum Classic, because of that DAO hack back in the day. But they clearly did an ICO. They've pre-mined coins. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious it's a security. I mean, it's not even an argument, is Litecoin or is Dogecoin or is Bitcoin a security? They're not. There was no pre-mine. There was no ICO. Litecoin was released even more fair than Bitcoin, because Bitcoin, some people can argue and say, well, kind of was a pre-mine because nobody knew about it.
Okay. During the initial development. The other issue with Bitcoin, and this is not to bash Bitcoin, but there is still that Satoshi wallet out there
With
that
a
sits
million
there. And as much as they bash Charlie Lee for selling whenever he sold, and I can't wait for Litecoin to go over $400 or whatever the magic number was that Charlie Lee sold at. But Charlie sold, and
It's already
so
went up past what he sold at.
oh, it has. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
they
yeah.
can't
So
say that.
he sold in 3 increments in 2017.
Okay.
He sold some Litecoin around $100, around $200, and then around $300.
Okay. I always heard the statement Charlie Lee sold at the top, which I knew was around 400 something. So that's not even a true statement. And
No,
then,
and that was in 2017. And that's actually what got me into Litecoin. When he came on CNBC. This was after he divested himself of Litecoin. And I felt like he was like talking to me. Like, I was surreal watching this.
very personable. Yeah.
I was very like drawn to what he said. And I said to myself, wow, this Litecoin's going to be something. Because I felt like he also had pressure to do that as well.
Really?
I felt like there was a plan for Litecoin, and there was pressure put on him to sell his coins. That's what I felt like at the time. Now, do I feel like there was pressure put on him now?
Because he's continued to support and donate to the development of Litecoin. Like
Sure.
he's continued to put in for, and Litecoin has continued to develop the ordinals, the NFT space, the gaming space. So Litecoin has developed and grown and matured multiple ways. It's a really complex or diverse platform. And then MWeb, of course, I think is really the key, where you have that option to either spend open, on layer 1, or you can spend privately through MWeb.
But no, good point. The man hasn't went anywhere. He's still involved. He's the director of the Litecoin Foundation. He he matches donations for certain things. So he's putting in his own money to help develop things on Litecoin. I mean, the man's still involved 6+ years later, after he supposedly sold his bags and left everyone behind. The man's still involved in the project. So, I mean, if anything, he's been nothing but benevolent and a good leader of Litecoin. He hasn't went anywhere. He hasn't abandoned it. He's done everything you're supposed to do. So he's been a real class act as far as someone that created a coin. If he abandoned it, then it'd be like, all right, well, he kind of, he sold all his Litecoin. He kind of abandoned ship. No, the man's still more than involved in what goes on with Litecoin. So but the cool thing is too, it's kind of evolved past Charlie. When in the beginning, he was such the focal point of Litecoin. And now there's so much stuff that happens that he finds out about it after the fact. There's things the community does, different things. Right. And in the beginning, I mean, he was making all the decisions for what would happen. And now he's, again, people got to realize too, the Litecoin Foundation is not Litecoin.
Right.
There's people that get mad a lot at the Litecoin Foundation. I mean, I see a lot of hate on Twitter. They hate the Litecoin Foundation, this and that. I mean,
But don't you think those are people that don't understand true decentralization? Like the Litecoin
100%.
Foundation is basically a marketing arm. It's a decentralized, it's a SOC. It's a self-organized collective of
Yes.
a decentralized group that said, you know what, we're going to get together and we're going to be a marketing arm for Litecoin because we are Litecoin SOC.
And if you think you could do it better, people think they could
Do
do it
it.
better, do it.
I
I mean,
remember when I asked, I contacted Dave Schwartz and I said, because I didn't understand, I was a newbie to crypto. Mom had, just given us our first Litecoin when we got married in 2017, and I was just learning. And I said, is it okay? Can I be Litecoin Lisa? Am I allowed? And he's like, well, we're decentralized, so you can't ask permission. You just have to do it. And if the market allows, then you are,
yeah,
and
yeah.
so that's where, so the market has allowed for the Litecoin Foundation to be the representation of the marketing arm for Litecoin because the community supports that. The community trusts the foundation to be the marketing arm for
I mean, I was
Litecoin.
never connected to the Litecoin Foundation in any way, shape, or form. I supported their efforts.
Right.
I volunteered at a few conferences, would help out at their booth, but that was
Sure.
it. I mean, I've spoken at the Litecoin Summit, but I just did my own thing always with Litecoin, and I kind of did that intentionally. I said it's good to have people that do things outside of the foundation. I always support what they did, but I said, hey, you don't need to ask permission. You want to do, because people would hit me up on Twitter. Oh, who can you talk to? We want to integrate Litecoin into something. I was like, just do it. You don't need to talk to anybody. And if it's
So
cool,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
say if it's cool and it's a good if it's a good product, a good software, then people will support it. I mean, if it's really cool, if you want me to DM some people at the Litecoin Foundation and say, hey, check this out or whatever, maybe retweet it for them and maybe we can do a joint thing together, but you don't need to ask for permission. Nothing I
This
ever did
is
with
the
Litecoin, I
shift,
never
though.
asked anybody.
Don't you think this is the shift to be free, is to stop asking permission? Like free men don't ask permission. And we say that, but we have to really believe it to our core to where we start behaving that way. And that is where we'll understand where free markets kick in. And we have to start building systems that way and operating in that way. And Litecoin is a structure or a framework, a platform where free men can build systems in that way. You can just behave in a decentralized manner. The tools are there. You can operate different businesses. Yes, mom, be your bank. You can be your own bank. You can run your business. You can be
Exactly.
private when you need to be private. You can be public when you need to transact publicly for documentation. But we need to stop asking for permission from people that don't have power over us, so that we can, because we are free, not so that we can be, but because we are free.
And people are so used to being controlled in every
Yes.
facet of their life. They're used to being, think about it, people, government's gotten bigger. People work a job, they go to work, they have a boss, everything they do, there's a controller, there's a leader. They have to ask somebody. You can't just do things. They have to ask. And this turns out upside down. Be your own bank. Why are we asking for permission when it comes to the monetary system? We're just supposed to be able to use it. The only reason we have to ask for permission is because of the Patriot Act. The USA Patriot Act was a weapon against we the people. And they weaponized the USA Patriot Act weaponized the banking system against the American people. And I never, ever liked the idea of that. USA Patriot Act, even when it first was being rolled out, I remember telling people, I said, well, this is a bad idea. And people were like, you want terrorism? That means this and that. And I said, I even knew that. I said, you do think this has to do with terrorism? And I said, how are they going to be able to just go after the terrorists? How? Explain it to me. And then I was like, they're going to come after each and every one of us with this. They'll go after, they'll start going after different groups. And before you know it, they'll target everyone. Right now, we the people are the targets of the USA Patriot Act. It doesn't do anything to fight terrorism.
Well, it's just like the sanctions against Russia have only caused things to cost more expensive here.
Yeah.
Did it hurt Russia? Nope. It freed Russia from being trapped in the SWIFT system. Russia figured out another system. And then they said, who else wants to be on the freedom train with us and go work over here? And now they're finding gold, and they're creating a digital backed or a gold and silver or resource digital currency. They're opting out. They're finding, and we're the ones now they're threatening to this. Oh gosh, now they're attacking our freedom of speech through this. Oh, TikTok's going to come and get you. And that is just the tip of the iceberg. They tell you to be afraid of something, and the government's going to come protect you from it. And you are the one that's being trapped. You're the one that's being targeted. That is a trick.
Well, that's like this KYC thing. That's why I saw this KYC thing coming down the pipeline before I was even into crypto. And that's what turned me on so much about crypto. I said, this is a way to make this KYC, AML stuff obsolete. AML stands for anti-money laundering. It's actually AML compliance. So that's AML KYC, anti-money laundering compliance, KYC, know your customer. And I just said, we have to make it obsolete. There's no way around it. They'll throw people in jail. You try to get around it or not enforce it. But if you make it obsolete, that's a different story. You make it not needed. You build a new system that it's irrelevant. That's what we have to do. And I've spoken about this. And I will debate anybody from any 3-letter agency about this. They don't scare me when it comes to this. I'm here to tell people the truth. They're there to lie to people, right? They'll tell you crypto bad, used for money laundering. And I tell people regular system bad, regular system used for money laundering. And I explain how. It's much easier to launder money through a credit-based system. You don't need the money in the first place as the launderer. So in other words, you're laundering cryptocurrency. You have to have all that available in the first place, which that right off the bat makes it harder. You could launder money in the regular system. You don't even need the money. You're just laundering based on your credit.
Right. Think about what the banks do, where they just go back and they just feel, wait, how much do you want for the house? Okay, we're going to print up we're going to just create fake ones and zeros and loan you money that doesn't even exist 2 seconds ago. And then, oh, wait, you're going to deposit how much? Oh, great. You loaned $10 to us. We're going to loan out $100. We're going to loan it out 10 times. So they're creating fake money, but they want to call crypto dangerous. And
the second key component to money laundering, what's needed and necessary, and it's actually required to launder funds properly. You need an automatic reporting requirement, an automatic reporting structure built into that system. So in other words, as the launderer, you need that reported into the regular system. So you're passing off illicit money as clean money. That's the idea of laundering. Think about it. If you're a drug dealer, a drug trafficker, you would launder money because you need to make it seem like you have legitimate income. So you need the system to report what you did automatically. This way it's stamped in there that that's your income. Now you put that on your tax return. And then that money, that goes into the system. You've laundered that money and now it's in under your name. You can now apply for mortgages, things like that. Cryptocurrency has no
legitimizing bad money
yes,
for good. I see.
that's people see. We've gotten so far away from what money laundering actually is. It's making illegal money appear legit. That's what money laundering is. So cryptocurrency has no automatic reporting requirement. It doesn't report. It's a decentralized blockchain. Litecoin, Bitcoin, Dogecoin network doesn't report to the government. It can't. It's not built into the code. It's just it's a digital cash. So that's the second main reason why it's kind of impossible to launder in the true sense. What they want to make you think is that freedom of your money, being able to move money across border, being able to move money in your own possession without asking for permission, they lump that in with laundering, which it's not. They said, well, that's money laundering. Even these 3-letter agencies, I said, do you idiots realize what money laundering is? They don't. They don't. They don't know what it is. It's taking that money and making it appear legit. So you have to have that automatic reporting requirement. It's much easier to do through a credit-based system. So, okay, so now we get to this KYC stuff, right? Now they say, oh, KYC, and that's, you listen to these idiots and they say, oh, well, that's, they give you the reasons why it's so important and we're stamping out money laundering with KYC. Who are you? Are you stamping out money laundering with KYC? Okay. I said, it's just a weapon against the American people. You've made it easier for criminals to operate. You've made it harder for Americans to operate. Oh, no. Yes. Because normal Americans aren't good with documents. They're missing something when you ask them.
We brought this up before, yeah.
In the credit card business, we know people are criminals if they can give us every document in a matter of minutes. If you could get me every document I need within a couple of minutes, I know you for a fact you're up to something. Normal people can't do it. They're like, I don't know where that stuff is. I'm running a business over here. You're asking me for all this stuff. I don't know where it is. Criminals are document producing experts. So all you've done is say, hey, there's no thinking required anymore. The people just got to get through KYC and keep adding layers to it, making it a little harder. So they have to jump through more hoops. Criminals are like, well, they made it easier for us. Now we don't have to talk to anybody. The people who look at the stuff just say, well, you gave us 11 documents. Obviously you're legit, because they're not thinking. And then normal Joe at the restaurant that owns the restaurant says, well, I can't even get a new account for this thing, or I can't even do this. I don't even know where this stuff is.
Right.
So you screwed normal Joe and you made it easier for Mr. Criminal to operate. So
yeah, because you gave him a laundry list of what to create, of the fake documents to create.
He's an expert at doing it. So you've weaponized the Patriot Act, weaponized the system against we the people. They've made it seem like we're all laundering money. They've made it seem like this KYC stuff is so important to protect the financial system. And really all they've done, it's more weaponization against we the people and regular American citizens. And it's all thanks to, knocking down a few buildings in September 2001.
Right. I think that, but now I'm thinking that that may have been the final straw and start of the exposure of a lot of this. I mean, there's been so much news lately. I mean, just Cliff High's data is just right on with so much of this. The Scavino post, or they're talking about there's the US is suing Apple for being a monopoly. That rolled out today. And then I guess with some of that is exposing more and more things. I was telling you about how, oh, did you see that the trade center had a fire on it yesterday
Yeah, yeah, I saw
morning?
that. Yep.
I guess it was a rooftop fire, there was smoke and whatever, and I don't know if you remember when the White House had a big fire on top of it, and we're coming into the lunar eclipse on the 25th.
Then we got the solar eclipse thing that there's.
That's coming up, that's gonna be on the 8th of
What's your
April.
thoughts on that? Because I've been seeing a lot of videos and they're preparing
I
people. And
kind of think that I mean, I think it'll be significant. I know they're calling in National Guard to be in different areas, um, in different states. I know in Oklahoma, they're calling them to go down to like Broken Bow or somewhere, wherever there's going to be a high concentration of people. Um, I'm seeing things about them rounding people up. Um, uh, and that kind of thing. But I wonder how much of the look here, don't look there kind of thing, and that maybe this lunar eclipse might be significant as well. And they're like, oh, pay attention to the solar eclipse on the 8th, but
right.
really the March 25th might be something with the banking.
Or what
That
if
might be
it's
the
a
big crack up boom,
no?
and then it plays out to the 8th.
I think it's a distraction, obviously. Like it doesn't make
Sure.
sense. National Guard telling people have a week's worth of food and things. And it's like, well, for a solar eclipse, like what? Like, what do you
Well, but when Fortune is reporting that the SEC seeks to classify ETH as a security and ties JP Morgan to it, I mean, that could be so if FTX, we all know, we were watching how FTX was really they were blaming crypto, but it was really legacy finance moving around money, and Congress was being paid and putting,
yeah,
we know Sam Bankman-Fried was meeting with all of Congress. If that was just the test run of what's going to be exposed and include JP Morgan's one of, we all watch BIX, JP Morgan's the biggest silver rigger. If that releases the silver and the COMEX, I mean, I'm getting chills, but like that could be huge. And that would destroy pensions, and the banks would shut down, and I would think that that would change everything, and that would be devastating to the current financial system, and that could cause the run on the banks, which would be complete chaos.
what if they this solar eclipse thing was just a dry run to take to like turn the power off on people and see how people react and respond, or they could say, oh, there was something that
Oh, I'm sure
happened
it'll be blamed
because of
on,
this
and then
storm.
it'll get
So
blamed on China or Russia or whatever.
here's my thoughts on the more I've been so I don't think anything's going to happen to the financial system. Here's why. I think they're always going to manipulate us. Now, I think they're going to have to like major league manipulate us. I
Okay,
think,
but Johnny, did you see where JB Sleer posted that the Argentina president boarded up the central banks?
yeah, that guy Javier Milei.
Yeah, boarded up their central banks. Like it's happening all over the world. And the central banks have not always, like, we live in such America is such a young country that we think the central banks have always been in control, but it hasn't been that way. The US dollar, the paper dollar, the central banks were an experiment that have gone too long. They've outlived their time, and
Right.
they've enslaved we the people for way too long. And the time has come for us to not be enslaved anymore. I don't know if you saw Melania's dress recently. Um, but that it looked very like chains being broken. Um, if I had to
Well,
guess,
you brought up
um,
a good point too about the central bank. Before 1913, that's when the Federal Reserve,
mhm.
and really, people will say European bankers, or really people say even that's when the crown The
The
British Royal
crown.
Crown
And
took it
remember
over.
what's happening right now with Charles being Kate's missing, and the stuff with the king's horse just went by with the umbrella over it and the Jack flag half staff. There's stuff happening all over that.
So I think they can getting rid of a central bank is different from taking down a financial system completely. They're
Okay,
two
so
two
transitioning it
different things.
to. Okay, I agree.
That's one aspect of it. But here's what I've been like. Okay, so I was watching about the we'll make one point too. Like before the Fed got involved, like states used to issue their own currency. Actually, I was showing you that old banknote that I had from 1860. That was issued by a bank itself.
Yep.
That was so different. It wasn't one currency for the country. It was.
And during the Great Infection, states have been transitioning. A lot of states made, in fact, another one today, I don't know if it was Wisconsin, somebody else made something with a W, made gold and silver legal tender today. Another state joined. So that's 23 or 24. It's either 24 or 25 states now have made gold and silver legal tender. And during the Great Infection, backed their treasuries with gold and silver, which avoids federal taxes as well.
Right. Well, that's big. So here's my fear, Lisa, and I guess a couple weeks ago I was watching some stuff about the silver market in 1980 when the price of silver hit $50. And if you know about silver, you've probably heard of the Hunt brothers. And the Hunt brothers were these I think they were from Texas. They were like these oil tycoons and wealthy oil family. And they kind of cornered the silver market in a sense, and they started buying up a large portion of the silver supply. So the price started being driven up. It wasn't all because of them, but they were a big part of it. And because they were buying up so much silver, was driving the price up. Well, they changed the rules back then. And they basically made it so, hey, you can't buy any more silver. Only selling could happen. And basically they let like the shorts and stuff get out. So they basically changed the rules.
Like Robin Hood.
To save the financial system, screw these guys that actually they were playing by the rules and figure out how to corner the market and take advantage of it. They were the good guys. They were buying silver because they saw all the inflation in the 70s that was going on. And they described it as a football game where they say, hey, you're playing the other team, but your team can't score anymore. And only the other team could score, and then we'll see who wins. And it's like, well, obviously the other team's going to win. You won't let our team score. Right. So my fear is that they'll just keep changing the rules, and the general public doesn't know enough about this stuff. They don't know about the COMEX and the LME and all this stuff. So they'll just keep changing the rules, and then but
that's only in a situation where everything is normal and clicking along. If there is a panic, if they get their bank accounts seized because the bank loses its if they get their deposits seized because the bank goes defunct and they get a bail-in, then people are going to be panicked and they're going to be looking for hard assets, and they're going to start buying silver peer-to-peer. They're going to quit trusting the middleman. I mean, like that, it will go chaotic really quick, but it will change the system. It will force people to learn because of pain.
It will, so they can get rid of the Fed and still have complete control of us.
Right.
They
Oh,
could. So
well.
they could get rid of the Fed, and so they can maybe give us more sound money, but that doesn't mean getting rid of the Fed. That's only one of the that's a good problem to get rid of, but they can still have banks doing the dirty work, and who's to say that the Treasury is going to be the good guys if they get involved? You know what I mean? Maybe we have sound money for a period of time, which will be good in some aspects as far as not robbing our wealth and things like that. But I feel like there'd be too much chaos, and that they would manipulate the people so bad. Like I said, they'll do an event to totally like distract everybody to get something new up and running, to patch over whatever they have to behind the scenes. Remember
So that's when they send you the, oh, here's your app, we're going to make you whole, don't panic, and then the CBDC, which
they can roll out a
done.
CBDC, and it's a different type of central bank that did it. Maybe it's not the Fed as we know it today, but it's a different type of cent. Who's to say the Treasury's the good guys? That Treasury Department's basically the IRS. You know what I mean? So it's who's to say, we're just thinking because in the past there was sound money and silver, they issued silver coinage and things like that. Who's to say now they're going to be the good guys?
Okay, so and I agree with you, because any form of money, I've kind of come to this, any form of money creates counterfeit humans, because it counterfeits humans' energy and creates an opportunity for slavery. But we were just talking before we got started, and a friend of mine told me about this huge lawsuit recently with the Realtors Board, where they're doing away with, which there's all these huge lawsuits right now on the middleman, which I think is awesome, and trying to break up monopolies, which I think is awesome. But the Realtors Board was recently sued for like 400 million, or maybe it's 400 billion, I can't remember, dollars, for them assigning or asserting that forced 6% fee. And so my understanding of it is that they are going to force that you negotiate. If you hire a realtor, then you negotiate with your realtor as the seller what that percentage would be, and you are responsible for, as a seller, paying your seller or paying your realtor. And if you are a buyer and you choose to hire a realtor to represent you, then you negotiate a fee and you are responsible for paying your realtor for that percentage. It will no longer be that the seller has to pay the buyer's automated realtor fee. And so that is kind of that personal responsibility, peer-to-peer. Sure, if you want to hire a realtor, you do that, but you don't get to make a contract for someone else to force them to pay your realtor when in buying which that brings me hope that we are getting closer to that peer-to-peer transaction model, or living in equity with people.
I mean, that would be good. I think in some respects we are, Lisa. I think in some respects we are, in some respects we aren't. So it's kind of like a tale of two stories. You know what I mean? It's like we are in some angles, and then in some ways people are only more and more dependent on the system. So I feel like it's look, they could do an event, I feel like, and get the public just waiting for their next move. I think that they could turn the internet, they could do an event, turn the internet off, get everyone fiending for the internet, then turn it back on and mass manipulate the public, because the second they turn the internet back on, people are going to be jonesing for internet, jonesing for it. And then as soon as it comes back on, it's going to be like major subliminal messaging at us all at once. Major league. So that's my fear. As far as, they could get rid of the, like we were talking about before, they could get rid of the Fed, but that's only one problem solved. You know what I mean? That doesn't solve everything. And the Fed, that's not the silver market. That's not the manipulation that goes on there. That's the COMEX. That's the CME. Those are different people. So now we're talking about different
every 3-letter agency,
So it's
every middleman.
Getting rid of the Fed would be good. If we went to a sound currency, I've talked about it before. Look, if we go to sound money, true sound money, we won't fight foreign wars. There'll be no money going to Ukraine. We don't have to worry about the problem on the border. We don't have to worry about any of this. There's not anything to give away. But then you're talking, I think you're talking, if that happens, complete carnage. You're talking about people that are so addicted to a system that get these benefits. Now all of a sudden you would see, I mean, that would be a rough time period. So I feel like we would be good. People that have gotten in their lifeboat. So to what extent do they do this? That's the $1 million question. Is it going to be something that's the public even sees? Is this a behind the scenes job and they slowly get something else in place as they're manipulating us? Do they get rid of the Fed and they just issue a CBDC? Maybe it's an account directly with the Treasury. And then they just start, maybe it's not sound money. I mean, let's face it, the people in charge of the Treasury, are they the good guys? I mean, Janet Yellen, these people, I mean, I don't know. So I would think that they could just do the same thing, keep the debt going without a central bank. They could just change how money's created. All the Fed does is,
unless there was a huge transfer of power to like a benevolent system, military, a true Fort Knox, and on a blockchain digital ledger that was transparent, non-political, and each American. So if we really all have a KV, whatever that was restored to we the people and transparent and then given back to all of us, that, and maybe it happened behind the scenes because it would have been so chaotic to tell the people, then that would work.
That would be great. So we got to be hopeful. My fear is that we all get an account directly with the Treasury and they have more control over us. They could have more. That could be worse than an account with the Fed. An account with the Treasury, if it's not done the right way. Now,
if you can't take possession of it, there's a problem.
Now Congress would have complete control of us. They'd have complete control, and they could just say, hey, we might go to that system and say, gee, the old system, at least we could pick our bank. The banks were bad, but at least we could go back and forth between different banks. Now there's no banks per se. It's just we all have an account with the Treasury.
Well,
and they can really get us then, you know what I mean?
In Cliff High's data, that he talked about that the banks would still exist, but they would actually be serving we the people. Like that there wouldn't be the high fees. They wouldn't be trying to rob people. They would really be like there to move funds for people at the people's discretion in the future.
So if you got rid of the Fed and Federal Reserve and member banks. And again, people don't understand this. So if you can get rid of the Fed, still have Bank of America and all these banks, people won't.
I don't think it'll be them. I think it'll be community banks, private banks, credit unions, ones that are owned by we the people. But
could be,
my
but
own thoughts.
I would hope for that, Lisa. I'm on your side where I'm hoping for this stuff. But
I'll get my crown out and wear it, be the Queen of Hopium.
I love it. I love it. I mean, we got to be, look, you always got to be, you got to, I guess, look at both sides of it.
Yeah.
So the other side is that they're trying to basically they're trying to get rid of all the small banks, consolidate it into a few big banks, and then these big woke banks that they have complete control of, that then have complete control of us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, do we go down to 6 banks, the 6 biggest players, and then even if they get rid of the Fed, maybe now the Treasury has complete control of them. Then they'll have more. I feel like they'll have more control of them.
Yeah, then that's centralized control, which is dangerous.
That's dangerous. Mm-hmm. So it's really, it's really interesting to see how this all plays out. I think getting rid of the Fed on its face would be good. We're getting rid of the crown. We're getting rid of the bad guys in a sense, but there's more bad guys than just the Fed.
Yeah,
they're not the only bad guys out there. So that would be the,
it'd be a good start though.
It would be a great start. It would be a great start. Like Nana said, go back up. Nana said the truly disadvantaged, the
elderly children will need help. Yeah.
Will need help. And that's at the end of the day, as much as I'm, hardcore libertarian and I want the government so small, you need to look at them through a microscope or a magnifying glass to see them. People are used to a system that helps them.
Well, but so when I was in foster care, we had to go through training, and in that you had to learn the history of the foster care system. And they showed us the very first group of kids in Oklahoma who were picked up through foster care. And they were actually picked up by the animal welfare because there was not a foster care system. But the community didn't know what to do. There were these children that were mistreated by their parents. They were actually living under the deck or the porch of the home. They were treated like animals. They weren't being fed correctly. They were literally treated like dogs. They were just, not educated. They were being mistreated. It was terrible, terrible story. And so the animal welfare came and picked up these children to keep them until the community could get together and figure out some kind of family members or something to do with them. Because before that, communities were smaller and there was accountability and family. If a family was struggling, other family members or extended family or the church, usually churches were like the hub of the community, would step in and get around a family and help them get better or get well or take care of the children or whatever. And so that's where we've gotten so big and, moved away from the family model. We've broken up the family model. We send elderly people to nursing homes and we put our children in daycare and we put moms into the workforce and dad should work 80 hours a week. And, then we all can, maybe get to see each other on a holiday once a year. And that destruction of the family model and community is what has led us to think that we need to be dependent on government because we're all so busy working so damn hard so we can pay our taxes and not be a family. And that's the breakdown of society, is not loving one another, not caring about each other. And that's where
I agree.
they've made us in this false sense of dependency to the government, the
They're at
mind control,
war.
you
There's a
know,
war against the American family.
at
They're
100%.
100%. They're at war against American values, the American
Hmm.
family, and look, unsound money has funded that war against
Hmm.
and enabled that war against the American family
Yeah.
by making it by having fake money. They've made it so it's more expensive for your kids to go to college. It's more expensive to own a home. Everything's more expensive. The things you need and want have outpaced the rate of inflation. And then you're working to try to get these things and your dollar's not going as far and you can't afford those things. And then mom has to go to work. Dad has to get a second job. Mom has to get a second job. Before you know it, you're right. You see the kids at night for an hour. Maybe you get to see them on the weekend a little bit, and ruin the American family. But my whole thing is that the system is enabling this dependency, which is bad.
Yes.
But can they just cut everybody off cold turkey? Like
Well,
Nana
I
said,
wonder if that's what COVID was. Is the soft landing, as sick as that is, or is it the evil ones were already planning something awful, and so the white hats are like, look, we're going to use something evil as an opportunity to try to save America in this time of crisis, to bring it back to coming home. Because you're seeing families start homeschooling, people left jobs that they were miserable at because they're like, you know what, we're broke already. We can't eat out because everything's so expensive. People are cooking at home. People are making dramatic changes in their lifestyles. Moving from California, there's dramatic changes that are being made. I don't know.
It's interesting how it all plays out. Let's have hopium and hope for the best.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
let's hope for the best, but expect that maybe not the
But
best.
prepare for anything, right? For sure.
Prepare for anything, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change our message of getting into hard assets.
Mm-hmm.
One thing that's for sure. Now, we don't know how this is going to play out. We don't know. Do they get rid of the Fed? Do they go to a treasury dollar? Is that good? Is that complete control? Who's these other people that take over? How do they manipulate us? Do they turn the internet off? Do they subliminally message us? Is this event fake? Is that event fake? Does this mean this? We don't know any of that stuff. What we do know is that by getting into hard assets, you're protecting yourself. Because even if they keep that system going, it's going to hyperinflate at some point. And your dollar look at the track record. It's not going to get any stronger. It's only going to get weaker. And even if they keep that system going, weaker. So by you getting into hard assets, cryptocurrency, the best cryptos, Litecoin, Bitcoin, silver, things like invest in yourself, we always say, that you're the best hard asset that's out there. You're protecting yourself from what's to come. No matter what's to come, you're protected. You're in it's like being in a lifeboat that you could say, hey, there could be a tornado, a hurricane, a tsunami, an earthquake. I am good because I'm in a lifeboat that protects me from all of those different natural disasters. So that's the hard asset angle that we preach. It protects you against whatever is to come. We don't know what they're going to do, but we know by being in the right stuff, you are protected. Because if they roll out a new system, maybe they go for a power grab. They can roll out a new system that's think about this. I'll throw a curveball at you, Lisa. They could roll out a new system, sound money. So we're like, ooh, we like that. Backed by silver or gold, but maybe in a sense it's more of a power grab. Maybe they have more control over us in that system. They could have it where it's on a blockchain and they weaponize it against us. So they might say, hey, this is a sound currency that moves around on a blockchain, but
you can only spend it in paper.
You have to have a good social credit score to use it. What's to stop them from doing that? What's to stop them from, we don't know. There could be parts of it we like and parts of it that we hate. So we just have to be prepared for anything to happen where then we'd say, well, that's good because now it's not robbing us of our wealth. But now they're like, you better not say anything bad on your show. You're not going to be able to spend that money.
Yeah.
So look, we just have to be hopeful and just stay.
I've just had some conversations with people that I trust their character, that are in positions that I know that they do not want. They've compared those things. Their concerns are that it would be something like what China has, and they don't want that for the American people. And I believe that will not happen. And once again, that is my belief. Those are my personal beliefs and my convictions and what I believe about, and I'm trusting a human and their words. So, but
I don't think that'll happen either, Lisa. I think there's enough good guys fighting for us behind the scenes that it will prevent that from happening. But I'm just afraid that there's always going to be like compromise and what. So the good guys are fighting for us, and then the bad guys are fighting against us.
Sure.
And bad guys, the good guys and the bad guys, the push-pull. So then do we got a hodgepodge of the good guys and the bad guys' ideas going forward into a new thing? And then is it totally good? No. Is it totally bad? No.
Right. It is a war for sure.
So it's a war. So that's why I would just say we got to be ready for anything, but be hopeful and keep spreading this message. And that's the best way to look. You're getting the message out there. You're being benevolent by having information. That's currency. That's wealth, having this information. So you're beneficial to people that you come in contact with by spreading this message of freedom.
And this great community that we have that's so supportive and loving and sharing the message. So thank you guys all in the chat for sharing information and support, sharing hope and freedom and community. I appreciate all of you guys. I'm gonna roll out with a little hopium before we leave. So
nice.
Once again, thank you guys all for watching. Give us a like, share the video, and we'll see you guys tomorrow on Happy Hour, where we remember everyone deployed. So wear something red, bring something red, drink out of something red. See you guys tomorrow. Thanks, Johnny.
Later, guys.
They murdered my family. They thought they murdered me. My actions are not vengeance. No, not vengeance. Punishment.
Telling you that. Do you get it? We are in a war. It's a digital war. You just watch what happened a couple minutes ago, and then you're wondering, but why doesn't he tell us this detail right here? Why? Why the fuck do you think I don't? Are you pissed yet? You've got days to save your country. And when people do what they have to do, don't be fussing like somebody is overstepping the line. If you hear that from somebody, tell them to shut the fuck up and get out of our face We're not letting the steal stand. Take that and stuff it right up your ass. It's not gonna happen. Am I being clear enough?
I know listen.
My administration will be here for you every single step of the way. We've done everything we can do, and now we're just waiting for the storm. And I guess it's right behind me. It's following me.
We're on the front lines of the most important battle in history, and it is the battle to save democracy and freedom and human liberty and human dignity from this totalitarian cartel that is trying to rob us simultaneously in every nation in the world of the rights that every human being is born with. So thank you for your courage, thank you for your commitment, and thank you for your brotherhood. And I can pledge to you that I will go down dying with my boots on, fighting side by side with all of you to make sure that we return these rights and preserve them for our children. And I will see all of you on the barricades. Thank you.
I'm gonna pull the whole thing down. I'm gonna bring the whole fucking diseased, corrupt temple down on your head. It's gotta be biblical.